I done go and watched another film. Sorry about that, I've just finished watching Phantom of the Paradise, which was written and directed by Brian De Palma and released in 1974. It's a horror musical, and it shouldn't surprise you that based on the title, it pretty much follows the storyline of the Phantom of the Opera. William Finley plays singer and composer Winslow Leach, who's playing a new piece of music that he's written from his bigger piece called Faust, and he's playing at this rock club owned by elusive and crooked producer Swan. And Swan, played by Paul Williams, likes what he hears and he wants Faust to use for his opening night of his new rock palace, the Paradise. So what does he do? He steals it, claims it is his own, and has Winslow thrown into prison. After a while, Winslow eventually escapes, breaks into Swan's record company, ransacks the place, but ends up falling into a record press which burns his face and destroys his vocal cords. And thus, the Phantom of the Paradise is born. As I said, it pretty much follows the lines of Phantom of the Opera, with a little bit of Faust and some snippets of a portrait of Dorian Gray thrown into the mix. So what to make of this film? Well, it's certainly odd and surreal, and screams cult at the top of its lungs. It grabs a load of rock, glam, pop, some smoke machines, some bright lights, a big bunch of campness, and rolls it all into one gigantic ball of, well, fun really. This is a fun film. It's got some laugh out loud moments. No lols, laugh out louds. There is a difference. The acting neatly fits in with the oddity that forms the majority of the plot, with the cast performing a few over the top scenes to nicely round it all off. The songs are mainly catchy and quite memorable, but there are a few places where it drags the pacing to a halt. But other than that, they're pretty good. And the singing's pretty decent as well, especially from Paul Williams, who whilst portraying Swan, also provides the Phantom's singing voice. And speaking of the Phantom, he looks fucking fantastic, and the synthesized voice they give him really works. In fact, the whole thing, the sets, the costumes, it all looks really good. I mean, just look at the cover. I've never even heard of this film, and I picked it up purely based on the artwork. I mean, it just looks so good. Why did I do that? It's not all plain sailing though, because there are some choices made during the editing of this film that come across, quite frankly, as really annoying. There's a scene that lasts a good few minutes where the screen is split right down the middle in two, and I know that it's to try and portray how hectic and frantic everyone is when they're getting ready for rehearsals for the opening night, but it comes across as really confusing and hard to follow. I mean, you've got two separate views of the same thing side by side. You've got people talking over people, you've got music overlaying over music, and you've got action taking place next to other action. It's really easy to get lost. Or it could just be me proving how crap I am at multitasking. Another highlight besides the Phantom for me has to be the loving piss take they did to the rock and roll image, which is provided to us via the glam rock pill-popping prima donna frontman named Beef. He's funny, he's way over the top, and he has a kick-ass song on the opening night. I mean, that whole scene looks like it was lifted from the set of an Alice Cooper stage show, and I really wouldn't have been surprised if Alice himself had popped up halfway through the song. Now the important bit, should you go watch this film? Well, if you laughed at films like This Is Spinal Tap, and you dug the songs from Rocky Horror and Repo, then yeah, you should give it a try. I'll leave a link to the trailer of the film below in the description, and if you've seen Phantom of the Paradise, feel free to let me know your thoughts on it in the comments section below. Pretty please. Someone talk to me? Please? I'm so lonely. Well, that's all I've got to say really. It's zany, it's rocking, it's a headbanging, Satan-worshipping, drug-fueled orgy of fun, and I'll tell you this, if this club existed today in real life, you can bet your ass that I'd be there. As long as it was close by, that is, because no club's worth travelling that far for. Especially if it means it's in another country. I hate flying. Ugh.